The most important thing is to get the 2 points, bank it, go again against the Knights, get another 2 points. It's all about wins at the moment.
Lachlan Galvin in the coach's box, nowhere to be seen, dropped from the squad. And I think we've resettled on our halves combination of Toby Sexton and Matt Burton.
Right now, when you look at the table and the teams in form, what price the grand final is still going to be contested between the Panthers and the Melbourne Storm.
Welcome to the DSPN.
John Walker wins the 1,500 metres gold medal at the Olympic Games.
The All Blacks have won by 29 points to 9.
The Devlin Sports Podcast Network.
Welcome to the podcast, people. Martin Devlin and producer Lachlan Waugh. BLT means Big League Tuesday, but a little bit of rugby has slipped its way inside this podcast too. Philisande Sikaba from Supersport out of South Africa. Well, the Springboks are big time in the news at the moment, calling a couple of moves in that last test match against Italy, which has raised eyebrows all over the rugby world. We're going to talk about that. And also congratulations to the New Zealand under-20 team. Beat France in the semi-final of the world champs this morning. And guess who we play? The old enemy, South Africa, on Sunday. So plenty to talk about. As far as the league goes, we welcome back Tony Kemp. Tony has been in England for the last 3 weeks. So what's he missed? What's he seen since he's come back? What are his thoughts on where the Warriors are at? Matt Gunn joining us as well, Doggies fan. They were scratchy on the weekend against the Cowboys. We'll play Glass Half full with him. So a full podcast and the full show available on Rover. If you're listening there, thank you very much for supporting us wherever you find your favourite podcasts, and that's across Rover, Google, Spotify and Apple Play. Here on the DSPN YouTube channel, we urge you always please to help us out and click that subscribe button. We're fast closing in on 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much. It really does help on this side of the microphone. I keep asking and you keep giving, and we really appreciate it. We start the show the same way. Oh, can I just say before we start the show, all of the comments that have come through, and a heap of them from our South African friends, thank you again. Obviously, every time we talk about the Springboks South African rugby, we get a hell of a lot. Again, we got a moderator employed by MediaWorks. That's who I work for. So, make a comment, argue, debate, all of that. But as soon as you start insulting, well, they're just going to remove the comment. It kind of defeats the purpose a bit, doesn't it? We can agree to disagree. That's what this podcast is about. We're just talking about sport is all we're doing. And we start the show the same way every day.
Marty Sermons brought to you by WebWonks. Generate online leads with WebWonks. Doctors for your Google data.
We live in an amazing, amazing world, and it's wasted on the crappiest generation of just spoiled idiots.
Rugby league, mate. Round 19 all done and dusted. Easy win for the Warriors. 1 down, 5 to go. That magic number, as I keep saying, is 16. 16 wins to make the top 4. That's how many teams have needed over the last 4 seasons. Just keep beating these very beatable teams and the rest will take care of itself. More injury woes, though, for the Wars, with Rocco Berry out again, which isn't good. But the squad has depth. We know that already. All injuries so far have been covered, and more than adequately so. Knights away. Next game, Sunday, 6:15 NZT. Never easy. Just more of the same, though, of what we saw versus the Tigers. Take it game by game. It'll look after itself. Looking at the rest of the comp, especially this top 8. Are the Panthers now the most dangerous team left in the NRL this season? See, I'm not so sure. 9 games left for the champs. They're 6th on the table at the moment. From here, they have to win all their remaining games to make the top 4. That's to get to 16. Mathematically, it is possible. Plus, it's Penrith, so it's definitely possible. But when you look at the draw, there's also a period of 3 weeks, rounds 24 to 26, where they play the Storm, Raiders and Dogs in that order. Remember, no team has won the NRL finishing outside the top 4 since this new finals format was introduced. Can they make it 5 prems in a row? Seems almost silly to suggest that out loud, doesn't it? 3 on the trot was thought unachievable. 4 in a row? No way. 5? Seems a bridge way too far. But of course, because it's them, they remain the one team you can never say never to. How they ride those 3 big games versus 3 of the current top 4 sides is going to tell us a lot. What a run of games to look forward to it is for the rest of us, the neutrals too. The other 3 form teams remain the Raiders on a 7-match win streak, the Storm, who've won 6 in a row, and the Broncos, who've now won their last 5 on the bounce, Lachlan. Raiders made the finals in both 2022, 2023. Last year missed out by point stiff. They won a game in 2022 in the finals, so they do have some recent finals experience to draw upon. Right now, on that win streak, they're clearly the best team in the comp. They have to be. Top of the table, 7 wins in a row. Can they keep it up, though, and then reproduce the same form when it matters most? Broncos have 2 byes in the last 8 rounds, plus 2 matches versus the Storm. The rest of their games are all against bottom feeders. Those 2, though, versus the Storm will determine whether they, like Penrith, can seriously claw back the gap and make the top 4. It's Melbourne, though, who I reckon look like the team to fear most. 6 wins in a row, second on the table, Origin is over, they are poised. However, they also have a hell of a tough run in 7 of their remaining 8 games against current top 8 sides. This all bodes well for the Warriors, who, as I keep saying, need 16 wins, 11 in the can already, and have a very favourable run home. It's a brilliant comp, isn't it, the NRL? So much still left to look forward to. At the start of the season, who wasn't picking Melbourne and Penrith to more than likely contest the grand final? With everything that's happened, injuries, loss of form, where Penrith are on the table, the Origin interruption. Here we go, 2/3 of the round robin complete, and again, those same old 2 names just won't go away. Lots, of course, is going to happen between now and round 27, guaranteed to be the odd upset and many more twists and turns for sure. But right now, when you look at the table and the teams in form, what price the grand final is still going to be contested between the Panthers and the Melbourne Storm.
Devlin.
Every Tuesday on the Big League Tuesday, we catch up with a good old mate, Matt Gunn from Twizel, lifelong committed Bulldogs fan. They're a little bit wobbly at the moment. That's going to be one of the topics. We call it Glass Half Full.
Glass half full.
I'm going to give you 6, mate. There could be players, there could be positions, there could be teams, there could be scenarios. They could be past performance on the weekend. You're going to tell me with your glass half full, glass half empty after all of these. Yes! And we're going to kick it with your Bulldogs because, yes, you had a win. Yes, it was scratchy. And when you're looking at the top of the table now, it's the Raiders and the Storm, and they seem to be taking off in that direction. And you guys are, you're not going to be, you're kind of just a little bit at the moment.
Yeah, right. Well, we missed about 62 tackles on the weekend, and we still got the job done. Even missing that many tackles, Cowboys couldn't really put points on us, could they? So, look, it's been a bit of a scrappy few weeks. We have still been without our captain. He was nowhere to be seen over the weekend. And anyone that discredits what he means to the club, both on and off the field, doesn't watch enough of the way he plays. I believe when he comes back, we will be a totally different team. And the other thing you might have noticed over the weekend, Lachlan Galvin in the coach's box, nowhere to be seen, dropped from the squad. And I think we've resettled on our halves combination of Toby Sexton and Matt Burton. The other thing that you might want to consider is a few weeks ago in one of the games that didn't go so well for us, Lachlan Galvin came on and they took off Reid Marty from hooker and put Toby Sexton into hooker. We've been playing around with the squad to try and work out our best-looking attacking unit. And Reid Marty made 56 tackles on the weekend from the hooker position, and he has re-secured his spot, and he won't be dragged for any halfback again this season. We need Montoya back out on the wing, but we need Crichton in the centres. Let's see how we go. I've not written the season off. Of course I haven't. Played 16. We're on 30 points. We haven't scored enough points in terms of the points differential, so Melbourne sit in second. But I'm telling you right now, it's harder to score against us than any other team in the competition. So I am still feeling good, but I did breathe a massive sigh of relief when we got home over the Cowboys the other night.
Okay, we'll take that as a glass half full. Glass half full, glass half full, glass half empty with the Warriors bouncing back. Again, that was the first win in well over a month, just because of the vagaries of the draw and the buys and everything else. But the most important thing is to get the 2 points, bank it, go again against the Knights, get another 2 points. It's all about wins at the moment. So you would have been impressed with that because they took care of business and took care of business easy.
Oh, I thought it was an easy win for them. It was an enjoyable game, 34-14. I don't know what else you'd expect. The question was, how will the halves combination go? Tana Boyd came in, and I got to say, you'd have to give him full marks, more than a half glass full, probably 3/4 full. Nobody knew how that was going to go. So humble after the game. The smile on his face as he spoke to the commentators or the after-match reviewers summed it up for him. He was delighted. He said, look, I've bided my time. I knew it was going to be difficult to get into the squad. There were times when I did wonder. Now I'm here. He did everything he could. You couldn't ask for anything more. You go. And he led them to a victory. Glass half full, for sure.
All right. Yes. Glass half full, glass half empty. Broncos, Panthers, Storm, Raiders. Broncos have won 5 on the trot. Panthers 5 on the trot. Storm 6 on the trot. Raiders 7 on the top. Who is the current best team in the NRL? Give me a glass half full on who.
I still think it's the Raiders. I think they've earned that position. They have just played tremendously. Bye on the weekend. They'll come back probably even more. They will come back refreshed, but they may even come back
They got
stronger.
a game against the Eels as well, Matt, this weekend, so that's a banker as well, mate.
Well, yeah, and I thought that Penrith probably thought that too last weekend when they took on the Eels, and the Eels actually were putting them to the sword. 20 minutes in, the coach has got to go for one of the best players in the world. They had to get Nathan Cleary on there as quickly as they possibly could. About 20, 21 or 22 minutes into the game, they knew without him, the Eels may have run over the top of them. So I think it's interesting. The difference between these top sides, I think, are the top players.
Yep.
And so if everybody can keep their top players over the next however many weeks, it's anyone's guess who will finish top. I read some statistics over the weekend, an analysis of who they believe will finish as the minor premiers. Canberra were about a 98% chance. The Storm were about 96%. Penrith were 0.6%. The Dogs were about 60%.
Okay. Glass half full, glass half empty on the Panthers coming home with the wet sail, though. Again, I keep saying 16 wins as you cut off to make the top four. Their draw looks favourable until round 24. Storm, Raiders, Dogs in that order. So to make the top four, statistically, on past years, they would have to win every single game. Glass half full, glass half empty on the Panthers making that top four and knocking one of those teams out.
I'm not sure they will. I don't think they will. They're still 5 points shy of the Warriors. They might overtake the Broncos, but, for both or either of those clubs to make it into the top four, what you're going to have to see is top four sides losing. And at the moment, they do still appear to me to possibly be the best four sides. The Panthers, they're hoping on other results for them to make it. So, look, I don't know if they will or they won't, but you got to remember it wasn't that many weeks ago. 5 or 6 weeks ago, they were hanging around with the Eels, the Rabbits and the Titans at the bottom of the table. So you never write them off. One of the greatest teams that we've seen in many decades. And I don't know if it's that way this year, but certainly the way they've bounced back after the start of the season would suggest that nobody would probably want to play them in the finals. And this is the beauty of this competition. 1 to 4 and then 5 to 8, we're going to see, regardless of who fills those positions and where they sit, I think we're going to see one of the greatest final series that rugby league's ever been able to see.
I agree with you.
There are teams capable.
Capable. And I think that when you look at that Penrith side, it's, they were 3-1-7. They're now 8-1-7, okay? And so they probably won't make the top four, but that lingering question, can you win from being outside the top four, and who would back against them? The only fly in that ointment, I think, glass half full, glass half empty, on the Melbourne Storm and where they sit right now, 6 in a row, squad back, Origin gone, here they come.
Yes! Yeah, well, they've got the Seagulls this weekend, and obviously Manly are trying to secure their position in the 8 as well. So, you've got the Seagulls, the Roosters and the Sharks on 22 points each and the Panthers on 23. Couldn't get any closer. The Dolphins are only a couple points back as well. So all those sides, Martin, they are going to be playing for their finals this year. And so no one's riding anyone off at this stage. I mean, the Raiders will win this week. I think the Storm will win, but I'd love to see Manly do them in. The Doggies have got St George and the Warriors have got the Knights. The Knights have been flaky at best, but actually they started well against Melbourne. So, every team is capable, but when you retain the ball and you build pressure, that's where the top four sides have got it at the moment. And I think that, as I said in Origin, you hang on to the ball and don't let someone get repeat sets of 6, you'll win. And that's exactly what Queensland did over New South Wales. And so I believe it's exactly the same in this competition. Come on, Dogs!
Okay, 2 to go. Glass half full, Sharks and Roosters, Friday night, 8 o'clock. What a game that is. Roosters, 22 points. Sharks, 22 points. Sharks have played a game more. They're both absolutely scrapping to try and make that 8. Glass half full, who wins that game? Sharks home, Roosters.
The flaky Sharks and the Roosters that had a decent win over the
but they lost the week before to the Tigers, who had lost 6 in a row, mate. These are that says to me everything about these two teams.
Well, what have I said most of the season? It's so difficult to choose who's going to win over these weekend games that it's a bit like a lottery. Look, I'm going to go for the Roosters, actually. The loss against Benji Marshall's West Tigers would kick anyone into gear, I would have thought, and I think that's what we'll be seeing over the next few weeks with the Roosters. But that being said, Martin, I don't see either the Roosters or the Sharks as grand finalist or semi-final.
No, I watched that game.
Teams,
I watched that St. George Roosters game, and I thought St. George should have won that game. And so, I looked at the Roosters. They got the win in the end, but no, neither team has been that impressive.
No, I think that they're a bit of a I don't know, a distraction on the side. Manly may be the same. As I look at the top six, I think they're the teams to potentially go on and play grand final.
Yeah.
And honestly, on their day, a team like the Broncos, could just about take down anyone. Adam Reynolds has a good game. Their backline starts firing. They can score tries from all over the park. But I suppose you can say that about most of them. Yeah. The Raiders, for me, still, I think, after the start the Bulldogs had, the Raiders have overtaken them. And, look, they're probably beatable. But, I wouldn't be confident anyone will. I think they'll lose a game before the finals.
Let's finish on this. Glass half full, glass half empty. On the way they're reffing the forward pass rule, I just think it is ridiculous in the NRL. Every game I watch, I'm going, that's forward. That's forward. You've got grid lines going across the pitch. You've got touch judges on both sides here. How can you not just apply the most basic laws of physics? There's the line. The ball's going forward over the line. That's a forward pass, isn't it?
There's hardly a game that we don't see at least one, and often more than one. They adjudicate on every single aspect of the game. They pull it back for all sorts of things. They've got doctors looking at things. They've got the bunker looking at things. And yet forward passes, it just seems like a blight on the game. I don't understand why they won't retrospectively rule on them, particularly if they've shut down to go to the bunker to look whether a try has been scored. You go to see whether the try has been scored, they're looking at whether or not they drop the ball, fair enough. Whether they're in or out when they're close to the sideline. There's never been more tries scored with players in the air dangling over the sideline than we're seeing now. And yet forward pass or two forward passes in the same motion that the try scored in, it's totally ignored. And every team has been involved. Bulldogs scored a try on the weekend that the commentators thought was forward. Might have been as marginal as it gets. Probably was forward. At the end of the day, there was a moment in the Bulldogs game where a player, I can't remember who the player was, who the Cowboys, I think he was a second rower. He feigned injury in the tackle so that the referee would stop play and look at whether he'd been taken high. He wasn't adjudicated to have been hit around the head, and yet 2 minutes later, he's off for a head injury assessment because he played it up on the ground. Now, if we're going this far with the way we look back, we've got to look at forward passes. Let's just clean it up. We don't want it. It was always easy to adjudicate on, and I suppose there were times where they did get it wrong. They called it forward and it wasn't, but at the moment, they're going forward and we're never getting it right. They have to look at it. I don't know how you introduce it, and I don't even know why they don't look at it.
This is the DSPN.